Imagine a small boy in Egypt, watching his father save lives with his hands. Now imagine that same boy, decades later, holding a human heart in his own hands, giving life to thousands of people around the world. This is the story of Dr. Magdi Yacoub, a story of courage, failure, and the power of never giving up. As you listen to this story, notice how we use simple words to tell a powerful story. This helps you improve your English naturally. Chapter 1. The Boy Who Watched His Father's Hands. In 1935, a baby boy was born in a small village called Belbais, near the great River Nile in Egypt. His name was Magdi Yacoub. He was born into a Coptic Christian family with his father Habib and mother Madeleine. His father was not just any man. He was a surgeon who traveled from village to village, helping people who had no doctors. Young Magdi spent his early life following his father around different parts of Egypt, watching him heal the sick. Picture this moment. A 5-year-old Magdi sits quietly in a corner of a small clinic. He watches his father's hands move with precision and care. The young boy is fascinated by how those hands can fix broken bodies and bring hope to frightened families. But then something happens that changes little Magdi forever. His beloved aunt becomes very sick. She has a problem with her heart valve, a narrow passage that won't let blood flow properly. Despite his father's best efforts, she dies. This loss touches young Magdi deeply. In that moment, he makes a silent promise to himself. One day, he will learn how to fix hearts. Growing up in Egypt was not easy. The family moved constantly because his father was needed in different places. Sometimes they lived in small towns. Sometimes they lived in villages where people had never seen a doctor before. Magdi saw poverty and suffering everywhere. But he also saw his father's kindness. His father never turned anyone away, even if they had no money to pay. This taught Magdi an important lesson. Medicine is about helping people, not making money. When Magdi was 15 years old, he entered Cairo University to study medicine. This was a big step for a boy from a small village. He worked very hard, studying late into the night. He wanted to be like his father, but he also wanted to do more. He wanted to specialize in heart surgery, the most difficult and dangerous kind of surgery. Many people told him this was impossible. The heart is too delicate, they said. No one can fix it. But Magdi remembered his aunt. He remembered her smile, her kindness, and how her heart failed her. He knew he had to try. In 1957, after years of hard work, Magdi graduated from Cairo University Medical School as a doctor. He was now officially a physician, but his journey was just beginning. He knew that to become the best heart surgeon in the world, he needed to learn from the best teachers. This meant leaving Egypt, leaving his family, and traveling to a place where heart surgery was being pioneered, London, England. Chapter 2. The Struggles of a Foreign Doctor. Imagine being 22 years old, arriving alone in a big, cold city where people speak a different language and have different customs. This was Magdi's reality when he first came to London. He had no friends, no family, and very little money. He lived in a small room with just a bed and a desk. Every morning, he would walk to the hospital in the rain, carrying his lunch in a small bag. At first, many doctors in London did not take him seriously. He was just an Egyptian boy with a strange accent and different skin color. Some even refused to work with him. "Go back to your country," they would whisper. "You don't belong here." This hurt Magdi deeply, but he never showed his pain. Instead, he worked harder than anyone else. He arrived at the hospital at 6 a.m. and stayed until midnight. He read every medical book he could find. He practiced surgical techniques on animals when no one was watching. The biggest challenge came when he decided to specialize in heart surgery. In the 1960s, heart transplants were considered impossible. Many doctors believed that transplanting a human heart would never work. Those who tried often failed, and their patients died. The medical establishment was against it. They called heart surgeons butchers and mad scientists. Magdi faced fierce criticism. "They used to call me the controversial doctor who has no ethics. experimenting on patients and doing transplantation, he later recalled. One of his most difficult moments came when he lost his first heart transplant patient. The surgery seemed successful at first, but the patient's body rejected the new heart. Magdi sat by the bedside for 3 days, hoping for a miracle that never came. When the patient died, Magdi felt like a failure. He questioned everything. Maybe his critics were right. Maybe he was just experimenting on patients. Maybe he should give up and go back to Egypt. But then he remembered his father's hands. He remembered the villagers in Egypt who had no doctors. He remembered his aunt's face. These memories gave him strength. He would not give up. He would learn from his failures and try again. During these difficult years, Magdi met a nurse named Marianne. She saw something special in him that others did not see. She believed in his dream when no one else did. They fell in love and got married. Marianne became his rock, his support system during the darkest times. Together, they had 3 children. Having a family gave Magdi even more reason to succeed. He wanted to show his children that with hard work and determination, anything is possible. Chapter 3. The Turning Point That Changed Everything. The year was 1979. Magdi was now a respected surgeon at Harefield Hospital in London, but he still faced skepticism from the medical community. Heart transplants were still rare and controversial. Many hospitals refused to perform them. But Magdi had a vision. He wanted to create the world's best heart transplant program, where no patient would be turned away because of their age, background, or financial situation. This vision came at a high personal cost. Magdi worked 100-hour weeks. He missed birthdays, holidays, and family dinners. His children sometimes went weeks without seeing their father. Marianne held the family together while Magdi fought his battles in the operating room. There were times when Magdi came home exhausted, covered in blood, and cried in his wife's arms. "Is it worth it?" he would ask. Marianne would always say, "Yes, every life you save makes it worth it." Then came the breakthrough that changed everything. Magdi developed new techniques for heart transplantation that dramatically improved survival rates. He pioneered daring procedures that other surgeons considered impossible. He took on cases that everyone else had given up on: children with congenital heart defects, elderly patients with multiple health problems, refugees with no money or insurance. Each success built his reputation. Each saved life silenced another critic. One particularly difficult case involved a 2-year-old girl who was dying of heart failure. Without emergency intervention, she had only weeks to live. A traditional heart transplant would not work because her body was too small. Magdi faced an impossible choice. But instead of giving up, he invented a new surgical technique called the piggyback transplant, where the new heart works alongside the old one. The surgery was a success, and the little girl got a second chance at life. As word spread about Magdi's successes, patients came from all over the world. Rich and poor, famous and unknown, they all received the same care. Magdi never charged poor patients. He often paid for their medications and travel expenses out of his own pocket. This generosity earned him the nickname, the People's Surgeon. The medical establishment that once criticized him now praised him. He became Professor of Cardiothoracic Surgery at Imperial College London. He established the largest heart and lung transplantation program in the world, where more than 2,500 transplant operations have been performed. He was knighted by Queen Elizabeth II and became Sir Magdi Yacoub. But despite all the fame and honours, he remained humble. He never forgot his roots or his father's lessons about helping those in need. Chapter 4. The Power of Healing Hearts. By the 1990s, Sir Magdi Yacoub was no longer just a surgeon, he was a legend. Other doctors called him the Leonardo da Vinci of cardiac surgery because of his artistic skill and innovative techniques. But Magdi never saw himself as special. "I am just a servant," he would say. "The real heroes are my patients who fight so hard to live." His greatest achievement came not in the operating room, but in his homeland of Egypt. Magdi never forgot where he came from. He saw that many Egyptians were dying from heart disease because they could not afford treatment. So he did something extraordinary. He used his own money and his reputation to build the Aswan Heart Center in southern Egypt. This state-of-the-art hospital provides free heart surgery to poor Egyptians. No one is turned away because of their inability to pay. Building the center was not easy. Magdi faced bureaucracy, corruption, and skepticism. Some Egyptian officials didn't believe an Egyptian could build such a world-class facility. But Magdi persisted. He traveled the world raising funds. He convinced international donors to support his vision. He personally trained young Egyptian doctors in the latest techniques. The impact has been incredible. Thousands of Egyptians who would have died have been saved. Children who were told they would never see adulthood now have full, healthy lives. The center has become a symbol of hope for the entire region. Magdi visits regularly, performing surgeries and training the next generation of surgeons. He pays for everything himself: travel, accommodation, even the cost of artificial heart valves. His only payment is seeing a child smile after successful surgery. At home in London, Magdi continued to push boundaries. He developed new techniques for repairing heart valves instead of replacing them. This meant patients could avoid lifelong medication and have better quality of life. He performed surgeries on patients who had been told by other surgeons that they were inoperable. One such patient was a 51-year-old woman named Jennifer, whose heart was failing. 3 weeks after being told she needed a transplant, Magdi found a donor heart and saved her life. Magdi's work extended beyond surgery. He established research programs to understand heart disease better. He mentored hundreds of young surgeons from around the world. He never stopped learning, even in his 70s and 80s. Medicine is always evolving, he would say. If you stop learning, you stop helping people. Despite his fame, Magdi remained a simple man. He lived in the same house for over 40 years. He drove an old car. His hobbies were simple: swimming and listening to classical music. He never sought wealth or luxury. His greatest joy came from seeing his patients walk out of the hospital healthy and happy. Chapter 5: The Legacy of Love and Lessons. Today, Sir Magdi Yacoub retired from performing surgery in 2001 at the age of 65, but his remarkable work continues in many important ways. He continues to act as a high-profile consultant and ambassador for transplant surgery, sharing his wisdom with the next generation of heart surgeons. Though he stepped back from the National Health Service, he continued to head his research program at Harefield Hospital in London and still performs life-saving operations on children through his charity Chain of Hope. His 3 children and 3 grandchildren carry on his legacy of service and compassion. His wife Marianne, who stood by him through all the struggles, passed away, but her spirit lives on in the thousands of lives they saved together. The most important lesson from Magdi's life is this: your background does not determine your future. A boy from a small Egyptian village became one of the greatest surgeons in history. He faced discrimination, failure, and criticism, but he never gave up on his dream. He turned his personal pain, the loss of his aunt, into a mission to save others. Another lesson is that failure is not the end, it's a teacher. Magdi lost many patients before he found success. Each failure taught him something new. Each setback made him stronger and more determined. He didn't let criticism silence him. He used it as motivation to prove his critics wrong. The third lesson is about service. Magdi could have become rich and famous, living a life of luxury. Instead, he chose to serve the poor and the forgotten. He built hospitals for those who couldn't pay. He performed free surgeries for refugees and children. He showed that true success is measured not by wealth or fame, but by how many lives you touch. Think about this. What pain in your own life could you turn into purpose? What dream have you given up on because others said it was impossible? Magdi Yacoub's story teaches us that with courage, hard work, and compassion, we can overcome any obstacle and make a real difference in the world. As you listen to this story, remember that learning English is like Magdi's journey. It takes time, practice, and patience. Every mistake is a lesson. Every failure brings you closer to success. Keep practicing, and one day you will achieve your dreams too. Dear friends, this story of Dr. Magdi Yacoub shows us that one person can change the world. He didn't have special powers or magic. He had a dream, a strong heart, and the courage to keep going when everyone said no. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring stories that will help you learn English while learning about amazing people. Now I want to hear from you. Who should we learn about next? Tell me in the comments below. Who is a person whose life story inspires you? Maybe it's a scientist, an artist, a teacher, or someone from your own culture. Your suggestion might be our next story. Thank you for listening. Remember, your heart is strong, your dreams are possible, and your story is still being written. Keep believing, keep learning, and keep sharing your light with the world. Until next time, this is your friend, reminding you that every great journey begins with a single step. Goodbye for now.